Namaste students, myself Sunil Kumar from the Department of Computer Science. Today we are moving to the first session based on the chapter 15, interface Python with MySQL. So in previous chapters we mainly discussed about which are the different queries we can use with the MySQL, or we can the revision tour of MySQL what we studied in 11th standard. The same thing we discussed in previous chapters, that is MySQL revision tour, and additionally some other extra queries and some other attributes not null or like that, some other attributes also we discussed, or constraints we mainly discussed about the constraints adding along with the revision tour we discussed, means addition. So in addition to MySQL queries, some extra queries we discussed in a previous chapter. Here we are mainly discussing how we can connect Python and MySQL, how we can interface with the MySQL through Python. Through Python we are writing the SQL queries and we are saving the queries and we are executing the queries and extracting the data, everything. All the work of MySQL we are doing by using the Python program, that we are going to discuss. And today's topic is steps for creating database connectivity applications. Here mainly we are discussing about how we can create the database, how we can create the database connectivity through the applications. That thing we are going to discuss in this session. So let us move to the session. Connecting MySQL from Python. Whenever if you're going to connect MySQL from Python, first you have to install Python MySQL connector. Remember, first we have to install Python MySQL connector. One that is required, that is software is required. Both PIP and Conda installation required. Both, there are two parts, two softwares are in there. That one is a PIP and Conda, that I'll install whenever if you're going to start with the lab. I'll explain how to install that one also. So first you have to install Python MySQL connector. Then you can write Python script using MySQL.connector. Then you can write Python script whenever if you're going to write the script. Whenever if you're going to write the queries, that queries can be written by using the MySQL.connector library. That query library allows to write the programs that can connect MySQL database from within Python. From the Python, it is possible to connect the MySQL databases by using the MySQL connector. Here, steps for creating database connectivity applications. Whenever you're going to create the database applications, or whenever you're going to create the database queries using the MySQL connector or MySQL if you want to connect using the Python, the first step here it is you have to start the Python, start Python program. After that, first starting the program, I'll explain one by one later, step by one, step 2, step 1, step 2, step 3, like that, all the step I'll explain one by one. First step here it is start Python, you have to start the Python. Then after that, import the packages required for database programming. Then which all database programming packages are required. All the database programming packages should be installed, or we can import by using the import query. Import statement is there. By using the import statement, we can include, or we can import, or we can include, not the same, we can include all the packages that required for the database programming. Next step is step 3, open a connection database. So we can say open a connection, you have to provide one connection to the database. For database you have to provide one connection. After that, create a cursor instance. You have to create a cursor instance that is working with the cursors. For example, which line if you want to record, or if you which record you want to add, or which record you want to fetch, or which record you want to display. Everything is working based on the cursor instance. So that's we have to use with the cursor instance. The next one is step 5, execute a query. Which query you want to execute, that query should be executed. After you have to execute the particular query. Then after execution of query, the query will be stored in result set. The query after execution, for example, if you are going to fetch the data, after fetching the data will be stored in result set, or we can say output buffer. Normally here we are saying that result will be stored in result set. So next step is extract the data from result set. So next step is extract the result from data set. After extracting the result, next you have to clean the environment. After that, final step is you have to clean all the data, for which and all data you created or fetched or resulted, everything. all the data we should clean. So these are the different steps, step 1 to step 7. Step 1 is start the Python. Second, import the packages required for database programming. Next, open a connection database. You have to provide one connection. Then after that, create a cursor instance. You have to provide one cursor instance. Then step 5, execute a query. You have to execute a query. Step 6, extract data from result set. The next one is clean up the environment. These are the different steps for Python programming or Python connecting the databases. First step here, I'll discuss all the steps one by one. Here is the first step. Start the Python. Start Python's editor where you can create your Python script. So we can use different script or different Python editor we can open. The Spider ID is there, or it is or any other different types of ID is available, or we can use any other editor also. Any other Python editor is also possible. So you have to start Python editor where you can create your Python script. Where you are going to create in lab, last year and all we used with the Spider ID. In Spider ID we are going to create the programs. So it's better to use Spider ID, or other than Spider ID we can use IDLE also we can use, or Spider ID, or whatever you feel comfortable in. I'm not saying only you have to use Spider ID or not. I'm not saying like that. Which one is required for you, or where you are comfortable, that ID you can open, then we can start the Python. So that is actually the starting the Python. Next one is import MySQL.connector. See, second is connection, provide a connection. Step 2 is a connection provide. You have to provide connection. You need to import MySQL.connector package. Here mainly we have to import MySQL.connector. So if you want to provide the connector, some packages required. Your connection packages are required. That connection packages, all connection MySQL connection packages are stored in MySQL.connector. In that name, all the connector packages are stored. So we have to import MySQL.connector in your Python script. So whenever if you're going to connect or when you're going to import the MySQL.connector, remember these are the queries given, or these are statements, not query. These are the statement. Either we can use import MySQL.connector. Remember, I small letter, MySQL, M, all the characters are small letter. So either we can use import MySQL.connector. Either we can use like that, or we can use with one more method, import MySQL.connector as SQL-tar. That is SQL-tar. Remember, you can use any identifier of your choice. SQL-tar I used because connector SQL I combined, I used as SQL-tar. So instead of that one, any other identifier also we can use. So you can import MySQL.connector as SQ. Anything you can use, connection. So like that, anything you can use. Anything we can use, any identifier. So whenever if you use identifier, one thing here is important thing here is whenever you're going to write the queries and all, if you're not using first, if you're only using first step means, so whenever if you're going to use queries and all, you have to use with the MySQL.connector.query, like that you have to use. So if you use SQL-tar or any alias name if you're using, means that name is enough. SQL-tar.connection. So like that we can use. So here second method, that is providing the alias name. That is providing alias name. Alias name means one more name is provided for MySQL.connector. So you can open MySQL.connector with that name, and remember any identifier. I just here give the example as SQL-tar. So we can use any other identifiers of your choice. Any other identifier of your choice. If you want, you can use your name also. The next, open a connection to MySQL database. You have to provide connection. So that is just imported. Second step, you have to import the package. After importing the package, next you have to provide the connection. Next you have to provide the connection to MySQL database. Establish the connection to MySQL database using the connect function. So MySQL.connector, that is a package we have to import. We are imported. In that, one function is there. Not only one function, there are many functions are there. One important function is there, that is a connect. One important function, that is a connect. That function is used to connect MySQL and the Python. Connect function that is used to connect MySQL and the Python package, or Python and MySQL is connected using the connect function that is stored or that is there inside the MySQL.connector package. So whenever if you're going to connect, here is a syntax is given. So connection object. Whenever if you're going to connect, we have to provide one connection object. The connection object equals to mysql.connector.connect. Remember, mysql.connector, we imported package, that package. So same thing we should be used. mysql.connector dot which function? Connect function. Connect function is used to connect. That connect function takes the 4 arguments. Connect function mainly takes the 4 argument. The first one is a host, that you have to provide the host name. Second, user, you have to provide the username. Third one is passwd. Passwd, that is a keyword, that is an attribute. For that variable, you can give the password, which password you used. And also one more optional data is there, that is a database. If you want, if you have the database name, you can provide the database name. If you don't have any other database name, directly we can use. So that is one optional. But host, user and password, these are the mainly 3 mandatory fields for the connect function. That is the 3 mandatory field for the connect function. So that all the connection will be stored in connection object. Here we can say username. Last we told here in this example, here username is there, then password is there, the next one is host name and database. These are the 4 arguments. These are the 4 arguments for the mysql.connector.connect function, or we can say for connect function. So whenever if you are going to use connect function, remember in package name should be used. So whenever if you not use, if you alias name if you used, for example, alias name if you used as connection. So if you imported mysql.connector as connection means here we can use that connection.connect. So entire name mysql.connector is not required. Which name we used? Connection means that connection.connect we can use. That is also possible. So here username. Username is the username on MySQL. MySQL, whenever if you're going to open the MySQL, you have to provide the username. That username should be provided. And after that, password. For if you want to open the MySQL password is required. So that password should be given. Then host name. The host database server host name or IP address. Normally, if database is stored in your system, for example, if the database is stored in your system means you have to provide the host name. We can provide as localhost. We can provide as localhost. Wherever database is stored in other system, whenever database is stored in any other system means that system's IP address should be provided. That system's IP address should be provided. Next, database name. Database, that's the optional which is provides the database name of MySQL database. MySQL database name should be provided. That is optional, but username, password and host name, that 3 are the mandatory fields. Next, open one here example. Here example is given. So last I told same example is given here. Import mysql.connector as SQLTOR. If you use like that, so I can call the function, connect function, mycon. Mycon is an object. Mycon, that is object, equals to SQLTOR. Instead of mysql.connector.connect, mysql.connector.connect, I imported that one as SQLTOR. So SQLTOR.connect, like that I can open. So that is no need to use like that. We can open by mysql.connect also. You can also open with mysql.connector.connect. That is possible, but will be that line will make big sentence or length will be more. For reduce that one, we can use as SQLTOR. Any alias name can provide. So SQLTOR.connect. First argument here is host. So I used here host name, localhost. Username I given as root. Passwd is not password. So passwd I given the password is my pass. Then database given I given as test. This is the method to open a database using the Python script. By using the Python script, by this method we can open a database. Next, open a connection to MySQL database. After next step, the same step continuation here. So if you may write following additional code to check if the connection is successful or not. See, once I told you can connect, first you have to import, later you have to connect. After connection, we are going to check whether connection is secured connection, whether we have to know whether connection is connected or not, whether connection is applied or not, or you can say connected or not. Whenever if you're going to connected or not, at that time we can use one more query here, one more statement here. If mycon is connected, you can see here is connected is a function that is available in connect mysql.connector package is connected. That function will provide true, that will provide if that function provide answer true or false. If it is true, true means it is, if it is connected means that is true. If that produce answer false, whenever is not connected. So that is a function we can use to check whether your Python is connected to database or not. So if mycon dot is connected, mycon is object, my connection, mycon is connected, that is object. By using that we are checking the function is connected. Then if it is connected, we can print successfully connected. You can print any statement, you can print. So we can say that here successfully connected. Next step after creation, next one is create a SQL cursor instance. Next one is create a SQL cursor instance. A database cursor is a special control structure. A database cursor is a special control structure of database connectivity. Cursor means it's a special control structure, or we can say that normally in files we discussed. File pointer we are using, file pointer. Same here, we are using the database cursors. So that is control structure of database connectivity that facilitate the row by row processing of records in the result set. So whenever if you are going to view the result, or whenever if you are going to fetch the result, it will facilitate row by row processing. It facilitate row by row processing of records in the result set, that is set of record retrieved as per the query. For example, whenever if you are going to display select all, whenever you are going to display select all, so we have to fetch the record, one record after record, one by one you have to fetch the record. So that facilitated by the cursor instance. How we can create the cursor instance? The syntax for cursor instance is cursor object. You have to create cursor object here, that is equal to cursor object equal to connection object dot cursor. Cursor is the function. Remember here cursor is the function that is used to create the cursor instance. Example you can see here, cursor equal to mycon. Mycon already told that is a connection object dot cursor. Cursor here is a object name, mycon is a connection object, and dot cursor is a function. So cursor is the cursor object, mycon is the database connection object. By using this one we can create a cursor instance. So by here we reach the end of session today. Based on mainly here we discussed about how we can create the database connectivity. Only 4 steps are over, remaining steps I will discuss in upcoming session. In this session we mainly discussed how we can, first what you have to do, first you have to open a Python, or you have to start the Python. That's the first step. After that, next we have to import the packages. Next step is import the package. So we can, when you are going to open a Python, either we can open with any spider ID or any ID is possible. Either you can use spider or anything is possible where you are comfortable, or till now where you are, that is better. Then after that, next you have to move with the next you have to import the packages. MySQL.connector package you have to import. After importing the package, next one is you have to provide the connection. Connection you can provide by using the connect function. Connect is a function that is used to provide the connections, from your Python to database. So if you're going to use the connect function, there are different arguments are there. Mainly 4 arguments are there. The first argument for the connect function is, that is host name. You have to provide the host name, which host we are using. Normally host name is provided like IP address. Whenever database is stored in any other system, means we have to provide the IP address. Whenever database is stored in your system means then you have to provide with the local host, that is a host name, that's a mandatory. After that you have to provide the username. After that you have to provide with the username. So which username is provided for MySQL, same username should be provided here. After that you have to provide the password. Password PASSWD, that is a password. You have to provide the which password is given for MySQL, same password should be provided here, that is a password. After that last one is, that is not a mandatory field, that is database name of the database we can provide. Which database name is used, that same database name you have to provide, or database name if you are not providing also, that is not matter. After that then we can check whether connection is established or not. After that we can check whether connection is established or not. Whenever connection is established, we can use one function that is there in MySQL.connector function, connector package, that is connected, is underscore connected, that is a package or that is a function used to check whether connection is established or not. So that will return true whenever connection is established, that will return the value false whenever connection is not established. For that function we can use if mycon. You have to remember, whenever if you are using any functions of MySQL connector package, whenever if you are going to use any functions of MySQL connector package, you have to use with the connection object. Along with the connection object we can connect. So here connection also same thing, connect also same thing. Whenever you are going to check is connected also by using the mycon or not mycon object, connection object. So by using the connection object we can check connection object dot is connected. So if it is connected means it will provide the true means we can display anything connected successfully, or if it's not connected means we can provide is not connected. So like that we can provide the different conditions based on that one. So user will we can say programmer or user will easily understand whether database is connected or not. So if you're not providing that one, program won't give error. If you're not using that statement, program won't give error. That is for your understanding whether the database connected is successfully or not. For that purpose we are mainly using is connected function. After that you have to create a cursor instance. That is mainly used to facilitate the fetching of row by row data. That is fetching of row by row data that is stored in result set. We are storing the data. From that if you want to fetch the details row by row, or if you want to fetch the records row by row, at that time we are making use of cursor instance. So I also discussed about how to use the cursor instance. Here is how to use the cursor instance. Cursor object equals to connection object. Cursor object is equal to connection object dot cursor. Cursor is the function that is used to access the data or use the cursor instance. Example here is cursor equal to mycon. Mycon is connection object, cursor is cursor object dot cursor function. So this is about the cursor instance. So based on this one, I'll give the worksheet, work out that one. We'll meet in next session. Thank you.